This presentation will take you through the Bachelor of Science in Business Information Systems program, which is a new offering in AIT for September 2021. My name is Barry O'Loughlin and I'm a lecturer in databases and information systems on a number of modules in programs within AIT. Content then for this particular presentation. Initially, I'm just going to set the scene as to where we are from a technology perspective in 2020. We'll then move on and we look at what is an information system. We'll follow that then by looking at the different types of modules that you'll study as part of this particular program. We'll talk about work placement, which is a significant component as part of the program. And then we'll talk about a unique selling point that this program has versus a number of similar programs in other colleges, and that's double qualified computing. Finally, we'll then talk about why you might choose AIT over some of the other colleges. Some high-level information then in relation to this program. So it's a Bachelor of Science in Business Information Systems. So it's a Level 8 program with a code on the CAO of AL858. So this is a new offering for September 2021, and it's a 4-year honours degree program with a 6-month placement in year 3. So as mentioned in the content, before we look at any of the specifics of the particular program, we'll just try and set the scene as to where we are from a digital and computing perspective at this stage. So this is from Hootsuite, and it gives you some information just in relation to the amount of people that are actually active online in one manner or another. So the population of the world is just under 8 billion. And from a mobile phone perspective, over 5 billion of that population, just roughly 67%, are actual mobile phone users. Now bear in mind, not everybody will have a phone. In some cases, people will have more than one phone. It could be a work phone and a home personal mobile number. From an internet users perspective, we're talking about roughly 4.54 billion people that actually use the internet. And that, from a percentage perspective of global population, is just under 60%. And from a social media perspective, so this will bring everything into play from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. We're talking about just under half of the world's population are actually active on social media. So the same data, but this time from an Irish perspective. So as a population, we're just under 5 million. From a mobile phone perspective, 4.79 or 97% of Irish people have a mobile phone. Now that definitely implies that there are a number of people who have more than one phone. As an internet user stat, 87% of Irish people will be deemed as internet users, so they have access to it on an ongoing basis, be it through broadband, be it through their mobile phone, etc. And in relation to social media users, we're talking about 3.2 million, so 65% of the population of the country are social media users. So again, as I said previously, that's all types of social media, from Facebook through to things like LinkedIn, and for the younger generation, things like Snapchat, Instagram, etc. This is the final block of statistics from Hootsuite, and it relates to global e-commerce activities, so using the internet to purchase or to at least query and look at different products that are on sale online. And this research is based on internet users aged between 16 to 64. And what it shows is that 80% of those within that age category would have searched online for a product or service to buy, and that's by using any device, whether it was the case that they used a mobile phone or whether it was the case they used a laptop at home, etc. 90% visited an online retail store on the web, and that's based again on any device. 74% purchased a product online and then made an online purchase via laptop or desktop. So here we're breaking it down into the specifics. So 74% purchased something online, 36% used a laptop or a desktop to make this happen, and 52% made an online purchase via a mobile device. So the rise of the mobile is something that plays out year on year. And at this stage, with things like Google Pay and Apple Pay on our mobile devices, it just makes an extension. Again, even when we're in a physical shop, we're still using technology to make a purchase. So whether we're going onto a website and purchasing and getting it delivered, or whether we're in a store and we actually use our mobile device to make the transaction or the payment transaction happen. So finally, in setting the scene, some interesting technology facts. Now this comes from different research sources. The first one is that more people on Earth own a mobile phone than a toothbrush, which in itself is frightening. But if you think back to some of the earlier data that was showing from Hootsuite, and it outlined the number of people who had a mobile phone, in lots of cases, people will have more than one mobile phone. 91% of all adults have their mobile phone within arm's reach of every hour of every day. Again, for a lot of us, it's the last thing we do before we go to sleep at night. As we check our phone, we leave it beside us on the locker. First thing we do when we wake up in the morning, at any stage during the day, it's on our person, it's on our desk at work, whatever it might be. On eBay, there's an average of 605 euros worth of transactions every second. Now that's every second of every minute of every hour of every day, 365 days a year. 90% of text messages are read within 3 minutes of being delivered. Now these messages may well be standard SMS. It might be something that comes into your social media, things like Messenger, things like Snapchat, things like WhatsApp, etc. So most people, as soon as they hear that ding, they're going to check their phone relatively quickly, and for 90% of messages, they're actually checked within 3 minutes. On average, technology users carry 2.9 devices on them at all times. Now, this might seem strange. The concept is that lots of us will have our mobile phone. We'll potentially be sitting down in the evening. The phone will be beside us. We may well have a tablet where we're checking something online, or a laptop, we're checking something online, and we're probably watching Netflix on TV. So in effect, we're using multiple mobile devices at the same time. Amazon sell more ebooks than printed books, things like the Kindle and all the other e-reader facilities. Facebook has more than 1.3 billion registered users. So if Facebook was a country, it would potentially be the third largest country in the world after China and India. About 100 million of those users are deemed to be fake profiles, and we've seen lots of controversy in relation to elections across the Atlantic, and different aspects in relation to how people were coerced into voting one way or another, and suggestions that there are fake profiles facilitating this. Thinking about everything that we have on this particular set of facts and on the previous things that we saw from Hootsuite, none of this realistically is something that is possible for us to be able to identify in relation to transactions occurring, to facilitate mobile technology, to facilitate purchasing online. Everything and anything that we're doing on a daily basis is dependent on technology, and this technology in one manner or another becomes an information system, which is what this particular program deals with. So the program is Business Information System. So to get an idea of what an information system is, so it's a combination of computers, information technologies, people and business processes that work together to help an organization to achieve its goals. So in essence, that could be anything. It could be the checkout system in the likes of the major retailers. So when we arrive up, we get our product scanned, we pay with our card, we give our loyalty card so as we get bonus points and so on. All of that is an information system. Equally, somebody doing a set of accounts through technology is an information system. Somebody working in HR, the system they have to recruit people, what happens when somebody gets hired, when somebody is let go, and so on. So information systems are everywhere. And what we want graduates from this program to be able to do is to be somebody who has a reasonable knowledge of business, a significant knowledge of information systems, and be in a position to, in effect, act as a relationship broker, act as somebody who can talk to the technicians and equally talk to the CEO in an organization. And as a result then start to, I suppose, translate from business talk to technical talk and from technical talk back into business talk and so on. So graduates from this program then, they'll be able to work, as I've said, with the likes of programmers, equally with salespeople, with technicians, with chief executive officers, and to understand and speak with authority on the information needs of an organization, regardless of the size of this organization. So whether it's a small family-run business or if it's a larger multinational business, there's a role for a graduate to come out and to be that go-between the pure technical and the pure business side of an organization. So the course itself then, it gives an excellent blend of the business practice and the information systems. And as part of the program, you'll be using information systems that are systems that are prevalent in the majority of businesses. Again, for large businesses, things like enterprise systems, and for smaller business, something as straightforward as Excel or a small database. And we want our graduates then to be able to bridge the gap between the IT department and the other functional departments such as finance, HR, operations and manufacturing. So that's in the large businesses, but equally in the small business, it's a case of being able to translate business to technical and technical to business talk and be able to ensure the business achieves its requirements if they're going to bring in a new technical system or if they need their current system to be changed slightly. Now that you have an understanding of the type of role that a graduate from this program would potentially go out and work in, we're going to take you through each of the modules that you'll study as part of the program. So in the very first year, semester 1, the first module that's there, learning and development for higher education. This is a module that's common across all of our programs in the business faculty in AIT, and it's designed to try and help the transition from secondary level education to the third level education, and the process involved and that responsibility becomes much more on the lap of the individual who's actually within a program. In third level, that there's a lot of responsibility that you individually have to go off and take the initiative and ensure that you catch up on stuff you miss out and so on. It's also designed in to deal with anybody who's returning to education and may have been away from it for a period of time, just to get everybody back in that mode in relation to what's required as part of higher education. You'll also do a technical module, computer systems and software, and this is where we start to look at the likes of operating systems that exist out there, just being able to utilize Windows fully and beyond. Mathematics for business computing, obviously IT within any type of a program has a requirement for people to be numerically efficient, and the mathematics for business computing just gets into that mode. We'll cross into things like statistics and so on. Introduction to data manipulation then is just where you'll start to see, we call it a computer programming language to an extent, in that you'll start to write small scripts that will be able to interact with data and get it to do what you require. Introduction into web and user interface design. This is very much in across to the whole web arena, creating websites, making sure that they're attractive from a user's perspective. That's where the user interface stuff comes into play. We've all experienced, I'm sure, of some very good websites that exist and then some poorly designed websites that exist. So this is designed to ensure that you're designing something that's visually appealing and easy to use. In the second semester then in year 1, you'll get an introduction to database, and the databases forms a significant theme throughout the particular program. So this just gets you into the concept of what a database is, and you'll get to use very basic databases initially. Cloud computing, everything and anything at this stage you'll hear people talk about, it's in the cloud. So what is the cloud? It's the internet. So if you're using Gmail as your email, all those mails are held on the internet. When you send it, it goes across the internet and so on. So cloud computing as a requirement from a business perspective is becoming more and more important each year. So an awful lot of services are moved to the cloud and everything is accessible from the cloud. So we'll take you through that whole process from the software and equally talking about the hardware aspects associated with that. You'll also have a financial accounting module in the second semester of year 1. Now, why are you doing accounting? Accounting is key for anybody who's going to be that go-between, as we said, between business and the technical world. Everything hinges on numbers, everything hinges on business plans, etc. So being efficient at financial accounting becomes something that's key. Equally, the next module and financial accounting, there's some overlap between them, because you can do an awful lot of your accounts by using something like a spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be a fancy accounting package to do some of the key aspects of accounting. So the spreadsheet for business, anybody who's working in any job in business, I think will always vouch and say that Excel is probably one of the most important programs that they're able to, or that graduates should have when they leave college. And if you think about it, what is a spreadsheet? When you open it up, it's a blank canvas, and you can design it and put formula in to do X, Y, and Z. And that's what the idea is behind utilizing spreadsheets as part of a module, that you'll be able to take a brand new blank spreadsheet and get it to do different requirements in relation to data and in relation to processing data for your business. Finally, then in semester 2 in year 1, a follow on from the initial web module that you had in semester 1, and this is responsive web development. In essence, the world today has people accessing the internet and accessing websites from a number of different types of devices. It could be from your laptop or your desktop at home. It could be from your mobile phone. It could be from your tablet. So responsive web development just means that that website responds to your device. It sees you're using a phone, and as a result, it gives you a slightly visually different version of the website, which allows you then to utilize it on your phone. You get to access everything. It's visually appealing on the phone. Equally, if you come and access that from a laptop, it's a much bigger type of website that's delivered to you. It gives you that impression because you're looking at it on a larger screen. So it basically responds to the screen size of whatever device you're using to access the website. Modules you'll cover then in the second year of the program. So in the first semester of year 2, you'll deal with a module called Business Information Systems, which is the equivalent to the actual title of the program. But this, as a module, it covers a wealth of different areas, from the internet and e-commerce and everything that happens in relation to online business. It equally covers a thing with a similar name, just information systems in themselves, the different types of information systems. So I alluded earlier on to a checkout system in a large supermarket being an information system in its own right. It is the thing called a transaction processing system, and you'll also work your way through a number of other different categories of information systems and see where they're applied in the real world. You'll also do a follow-up to the accounting module that you'd have done in first year, financial and management accounting. Again, a significant portion of that will actually be in a lab environment using Excel to actually process accounts. Business systems analysis is where you start to identify what has to happen if you need a new system created or changes to a system, and there's an entire process called systems analysis that occurs, and that in theory is where a technical person will come in, work out the requirements, having spoken to people within the business, and put together a design, a technical design as to what has to happen. So you, as a graduate from this program, is somebody who'll be potentially the in-between, the go-between business and the technical function, the technical department that will potentially provide this. So you'll work through the process that's required, and you'll end up then being in a position where you can easily see the business requirements from business and easily translate them into technical requirements. Follow on then to the mathematical module that you did in year 1, it's probability and statistics. In the second semester then, again, you would have seen an introduction to databases in year 1. That's followed up then with a more detailed view on databases, and you'll start to cross in and use a thing called SQL, which is a thing called the structured query language. Data for Forbes, as far as they're concerned, in a recent publication, have described data as being the new oil. So being able to get to this valuable resource is by being able to talk to the database, and to do that you use this language called SQL. Follow up then to the web modules that you would have done in semester or in year one. You have a thing called SEO and web usability. Now SEO is search engine optimization, and to try and make that as simplistic as possible, when you search for something in Google, most of us will not scroll down to see the bottom half of the page, never mind move on to page 2, 3 and 4 that Google returns. So SEO, search engine optimization, is to make sure that your business is found by the likes of Google and the other search engines, etc., and it's returned at as high a ranking as possible. And to do that, there's a process you go through. The web usability stuff, it's a combination of using both websites and using stuff that happens at the back end of websites to be able to actually track certain things. Applied data manipulation is just a follow-up from the data manipulation introduction that you would have done in the first year. So again, it's just writing scripts that talk to machines, etc. And the final module then in year 2 is marketing management in a digital age. So marketing, as we would have seen earlier on in some of the slides from Hootsuite, where it spoke about the likes of the number of people who are on social media, etc., finding those people, promoting your business to those people, having a social media profile, having a channel which is Facebook, another one which is Twitter, and so on, is all key in a modern business. And that's what that module is designed to get you comfortable in. Year 3 then, in the first semester, you'll deal with a module called Law and Professional Ethics in a Digital Age. So again, law and ethics becomes more and more important as each year passes. From the data side and the technical side, we have things like GDPR and so on. So you deal with all of that as part of the module. There's an advanced database module which takes you into more advanced levels in relation to the likes of SQL and other languages that are out there in relation to interacting with a database. Advanced statistics just follows up from that theme of maths and probability and stats that you'll have seen in the previous 2 years. And enterprise applications then will get us using, from an applied perspective, some of these large enterprise application systems that are out there. One that is the most prominent at this stage is SAP. So it's one of these enterprise resource planning systems, and you'll get hands-on experience in relation to it. Some of that you'll have covered as part of the applied side of the business information systems module in year 2. Second semester then, this is year 3, so it's your work placement. And the idea is you go on placement for 6 months from January to June. If your placement provider and you are happy, you can continue that on all the way through to September, which is when you'll return then for our 4th year. So that work placement is key. It's key to gain that experience from industry. It's key to see systems in operation, to see where you'll fit in relation to a role in future jobs. In your 4th and final year then, semester 1, it's information systems and project management. So project management is something that's key again, no matter what area you work in. The whole aspect of information systems and using tools to aid in the I suppose that the running of a project is what you'll gain experience from as part of that module. Data analytics and visualization. Everything in the world at this stage is putting more and more priority towards data, but having data is of no benefit unless you actually analyze that and represent it visually in dashboards and charts, graphs, etc. Advanced web analytics then is again getting as much information and value from everything that's happening on your web portfolio from your own company's perspective, be it your website, be it other aspects that you have available through mobile sites, through mobile apps, and understanding what's happening in the background, who's accessing the site, when they're accessing it, what they do on it, and so on. In the second semester then, there's a capstone project which brings everything together, and that capstone project is something that runs begins in semester 1 realistically of year 4 and runs then all the way through the remainder of the year, but it's assessed formally then as part of that second semester. Emerging database technologies, lots of what you'll have looked at previously will be what's out there now and what is being used widely in business, but Data is changing, and as a result then database technologies are changing, and that's what we address in that particular module. The final one then is to get your business hat on, and it's business, enterprise and design thinking. So it's to think about what could happen in business in the future, what type of products might it require, and where might a business come in relation to that whole process. So as we said, work placement occurs in year 3 in the second semester, and this placement can be in any business, be it local, be it national, be it international. The reality is every business are using information systems, so you'll gain good experience no matter what type of company you go out to work with during that particular period. So from an academic perspective, it's for 6 months, but if you're being paid, if it's a case that you're happy to continue working over the summer, well then you can stay there all the way through to September. So you can make that placement then become a 9-month placement. I referred earlier to this concept of double qualified computing, and the idea behind this is that we've aligned a significant amount of our syllabi against industry certification courses that exist out there. So things like the Oracle database stuff with SQL. There are a set of Oracle certified courses that you can do and become certified in Oracle. So what the idea is, you'll do the modules in college, you'll pass your exams in relation to the modules, and then you'll also be at least given the opportunity to sit and take some of these certification exams, and as a result then become double qualified. So if you're sitting down in front of a potential employer and somebody else has a similar qualification to you but doesn't have industry certification, it could be the main reason why you get employed versus the other individual. So you'll have opportunities to at least be prepared for certification exams in Oracle, certification exams in Google on the digital marketing side. Equally, the HubSpot that's listed there is also from that digital marketing side of the modules, and Microsoft, things like Microsoft Project, Microsoft Excel, and so on. So it just gives you an extra cog to your wheel, an extra aspect to put into your CV. And as I said, from an employer's perspective, if we have 2 candidates that are equally qualified from an academic perspective, having industry certification is another reason why they potentially will hire you over somebody else. So career prospects for graduates from this particular program are very, very healthy. The Central Statistics Office have released figures in relation to 2020 in the first half of the year, and the highest average weekly earnings were in what they call the ICT sector, which is the information and communication technology sector, and that is the type of sector that a graduate from this program will exit to. And again, the jobs, because you are in essence somebody who has an understanding of business but equally a strong understanding and use of technology, that marriage of those 2 disciplines is very attractive to employers, and that could be attractive to the big companies, the multinationals, or to the small businesses. So what do you want to continue to live and work in the Midlands? What do you want to move to some of the key urban areas on the east or west coast, or what do you want to move abroad? This qualification is something that you'll be able to bring with you, and it will be attractive to employers. Why choose then to come to college in Athlone itself? It's a small friendly campus compared to the larger IOTs or Technological University in Dublin or the universities in Dublin or in Galway, etc. We're a much smaller campus. Everybody knows everybody else, and as a result there's a nicer, friendlier environment in relation to the process, and people can talk to lecturers if they're running into trouble in a module and vice versa. We've excellent industry relationships from an information systems perspective. We've a great relationship with Teleflex, one of the larger medical devices companies that are multinational, based in Athlone, equally with companies like Ericsson, etc. We've a proven track record. We're around 50 years and our courses have built up bit by bit over the years, and at this stage we're at the level where we have significant experience on the teaching staff and, as I said, in relation to relationships with industry. We're cheaper than many alternatives. So to stay in Athlone is a hell of a lot cheaper than staying in Dublin, staying in Galway, etc. Finally, I'd like to thank you for your time. I hope you've found the presentation useful in relation to decision making for yourself. If you have any queries, The person to contact is the head of department of accounting and business computing, and that's Trevor Prendergast. So Trevor's email is there. It's tprendergast@ait.ie. So I hope that this will help to convince you that it's a good idea to apply for the BSc in Business Information Systems AL 858 on the CAO. Take care and thank you.